If you hold XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, or Dogecoin, or matter of fact, any other crypto, then many people are currently calling for it to be the start of a new bear market because we have officially entered a new downtrend. And I understand that there are going to be a lot of people that don't like to hear that because many of us have what you call a bag bias. If you're currently invested in something, whether you're up or down on that bag, ultimately you want to hear positive news to reinforce that you made a good decision. But at the end of the day, I have to remind the viewers of this channel that one of the greatest traders of all time, Jesse Livermore, used to say, in markets, there's no such thing as a bear side or a bull side. There is only one side, and that is the right side. So in a bull market, it pays to be bullish. In a bear market, it pays to be bearish. And we simply have to be on the right side of that trade. And it's important to remember that the market doesn't even care about the fundamentals behind any of these cryptos, the companies that they might have acquired. It doesn't care about that last piece of great news, and it sure doesn't care about our opinions. I liken the market to the ocean. Can any one person dictate the currents of the ocean? Better yet, can even a grand whale with more power than any other whale in the ocean determine what the ocean does? Or will the ocean always do what it always does? Sometimes it'll go up, other times it'll go down. And if you're caught on the wrong side of it, it can cost you your livelihood. So that said, this video, I will be covering the current state of the crypto market. I'll be diving into the charts for each one of these specific cryptos, talking about relative weakness or relative strength, what to look out for, and the fact that we are now hitting a new low on the fear and greed index, and the lowest low we've seen going all the way back to March for a reading of 15. And so what's so beautiful about where we're at is the fact that the charts actually tell us a story. And if you're in tune with the chart, then hopefully it'll help you to make better decisions about what to do next. So I aim to cover a bit of news, but mostly on-chain analytics and price action. So stick around until the end because you're going to have a heck of a lot more clarity on how to approach your crypto bag. And as always, my friend, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul. You can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDefi, P-A-U-L-I-E-D-E-F-I. Here we have a video of Charles Hoskinson, the founder of ADA or Cardano, talking about his stance on the crypto market and the fact that it truly is the end of our current 4-year cycle, which may or may not be true. But if we're entering a bear, technically we did see a 4-year cycle. It's just we didn't see all the other things that we typically see in a cycle. For example, we didn't see some major blow off top in Bitcoin. We didn't see a rotation into other altcoins, which many people were expecting and would usually state that is the end of the cycle. So I think a lot of people were expecting certain things, but that's the reality of markets. It's you never get what you expect. And history doesn't tend to repeat, but it does rhyme. And so if there's one thing we understand about markets is that you can expect the unexpected, and that's exactly what we got. But either way, here's Charles Hoskinson stating it best, and I do believe he makes a pretty good point.
Everybody entered, myself included, 2025 thinking that the Trump administration was going to be this magic net positive for the ecosystem, because he's literally... The U.S. government has become a bag holder. You know, it's like that's the biggest economy in the world, and it's gone from trying to kill crypto to embracing crypto. But sometimes by having the big guy hug you, they hug too hard, and they love too much, and it kind of crushes your ribs, kind of like Lum from Goonies. So what we're having to contend with is the U.S. government, in a very hand-fisted way, has been, in some cases, a little unhelpful to the industry. So it created an irrational exuberance, and it interfered with our normal 4-year cycle that we have. And we're trying to sort all that stuff out.
And so whether or not what he said is true, the fact that we got hugged a little too hard by the US government, I do believe one thing is true. And that is the fact that the market had a lot of exuberance moving into 2025 after the November election, which did create for a scenario where markets rallied extremely hard into January and February, where XRP put in a new all-time high a bit later in the year. Another major point I want to contend or share is the fact that we likely did see the 4-year cycle, and if this is the start to a bear, which now I'm beginning to believe it is, then it doesn't mean that money making opportunities are off the table. You can still make money in crypto, and there are loads of ways to do it, whether it's finding cryptos that are relatively more strong than the rest of the market or are good for buying dips, which will perform extremely well into the next bull market phase, whether it's dollar cost averaging through the bear market and buying new local lows across the board in some major cryptos that you want to hold into the future that truly will modernize and revolutionize the global financial system. Or whether it's simply short selling, taking on a bit of leverage and shorting into a few rips as the market recovers off of new lows. Whatever the case may be, there's always ways to make money in markets where there is a market to be had. And so throughout this video, I'm going to try to remain as neutral as possible and just show you what I am seeing on the charts, then help you to make your own decision about what to do. Because at the end of the day, I can't tell you, hey, go be a bear, hey, go be a bull. You're going to go and do that anyways. I just want to open your mind up to a lot of new information on how to think about whether or not we are in a bull market or a bear market for many of these cryptos, because most things are going to follow Bitcoin. So first I want to set the stage by covering some news for each one of these cryptos. Some of them don't have much going on, maybe like a Doge, but others have experienced some really positive news. We've covered a lot of the positive news for XRP on this channel over and over and over again. So go ahead and refer to those videos. But in this case right now, Bitcoin was acquired to the tune of another 8,000 by MicroStrategy, or better yet, rebranded Strategy, for an average cost of about 102,000 per Bitcoin. They're currently now sitting on 650,000 Bitcoin, and I do expect them to get to the point where they'll reach 1 million Bitcoin at some point in time. But notice that even his buying all of this great institutional demand is not enough to keep the price of Bitcoin up, as it recently dumped to $89,000. Then you have a Solana now getting another ETF through one of the world's largest asset managers, Fidelity, which is launching on the NYSE as FSOL, or Fidelity Solana, which should create for an environment for far more growth in support for the asset. You have Ethereum doubling down on what they were designed to be in a new letter from the team and Vitalik Buterin, the co-founder of Ethereum and arguably one of the most well-known in the entire Ethereum ecosystem, talking about how Ethereum was not even created to make finance efficient, although that's what the blockchain does. And in many ways, Ethereum wasn't efficient when it was congested, which is why they've been working on so many different things in order to make the blockchain more efficient. Either way, it has by and large the most value locked and stable coins on chain. So Ethereum is not going away. They also have institutional demand and adoption through their ETF, which came way before anything else except for Bitcoin. But they even state and double down on the fact that it was created so people could coordinate without trust in intermediaries. The manifesto is a positive statement for these values: credible neutrality, self-custody, verifiability, and resistance to convenient centralization, which, by the way, centralization is convenient, and many people would argue that it's necessary for any company to succeed. When you really think about the major companies of the world, the Nvidias, the Apples, the Amazons, the Facebook Metas, all of these companies have one person they answer to, which you would argue is centralization, which is why sometimes it feels like crypto falls behind, because they have all of these foundations and they have voting structures and governance, and things get lost in translation and then nothing ever really gets done. But if the key leadership can figure out a way to create a system where we no longer need centralization but can still get things done, Ethereum is going to be in a really good place, and I actually really like to see this. So go ahead and check it out at Ethereum Foundation on X or Twitter. As for Dogecoin, Dogecoin is just Dogecoin. I didn't see that much positive or negative news around it. I think it's just going to pump and dump alongside the memes, and arguably just with the crypto market, because it is such a large crypto by market cap. That said, the Coin Bureau recently posted that 42% of the XRP supply is now in the red, and that is the lowest it's been going all the way back to November of 2024, before it rallied hard for these current highs. And now we are seeing a new pattern and a new trend in XRP and the crypto market. But I had to go and double verify this exact same data for Bitcoin, And you can see that even on Bitcoin, we are at the lowest profitability we've seen essentially this entire bull market, where we've been at new highs going back to September 10th of 2023. So it's been more than 2 years since we've been in this range, which means a lot of people are in losses. And when you experience that type of pressure squeezing the emotions of the market, we can expect even more volatility. I personally believe the market's probably going to rally a little bit back up to 100 to potentially even 106,000 on the high end for Bitcoin before putting in some new lows, because we are officially in a new downtrend. In the meantime, we are still seeing a lot of Bitcoin leave exchanges on exchange reserves. You'll notice that we started flatlining right around here in October, end of October through this month in November. We saw another little bit removed from exchanges on that dip down to about $89,000, currently sitting at $93,000 on Bitcoin. And so although we saw Bitcoin removed en masse from exchanges through this period of time into that all-time high of $126,000, it looks like we're starting to flatline now, and we're starting to see more uncertainty. And it's very much possible that we start to do what we did back here from June 28th all the way into September 1st, where you saw Bitcoin being sent to exchanges. Now, the only reason you'd send Bitcoin to exchanges is if you want to sell. So when it's removed from exchanges in custodial wallets, whether that's for retail or institutions, that simply means that they're buying it and holding it for the long run. They are looking at the future. They're looking at Bitcoin and crypto as an investment. And so over time, you want to see this thing continue to trend down. And that's actually what we've seen here with bouts of flatlining, bouts of upward momentum in terms of deposits, but generally speaking, the trend has been down and will continue to go down over the course of this next coming year to 2 years, even if we see more sell pressure and new lower lows. This is a good sign that investing in crypto, and better yet, Bitcoin, is one of the smartest things you can do. As a hedge against inflation, as a hedge against fiat currencies, as a form of digital gold, which is far more efficient, effective, and even transparent. We know exactly how much Bitcoin there will ever be. We don't know how much gold is in the ground or even sitting in the drawers and dressers of people in India, which has so much of it in jewelry alone. So now let's dive into the price action on Bitcoin, and then we will get a better picture into what's happening with the rest of the crypto market, because I don't believe we're going to see an altcoin cycle in the way that we've seen in the past. If anything, Bitcoin is truly the key determiner of whether or not we are going to dump for further lows and the rest of the market's going to follow, or whether or not this was truly one of the nastiest bear traps in history. That said, we had our all-time highs right up here at about $123,000, where we did put in a slight little bull trap, a breakout, only to see the market break right back down below the range and then continue trending to the downside for new local lows. We saw a key support or a key support here, which used to be a resistance going back into December of 2024 and January of 2025. And you can see that not only did we see a double top for new lower highs right here, but when we broke below this support on November 3rd and 4th, we failed to break back above and were resisted at that key level of $107,000, which pushed the price even lower. We've also seen consistently greater or bigger red volume candles, which leads me to believe that this is truly a lot of heavier selling from institutions. We did see one major buy day right here on November 7th, but that buy day was taken out immediately with more growth in volume to the downside and further lows, which means that not even buyers or bulls could support the price right now with a lot of money. So the sellers are truly in control. And again, we have to take that into consideration. Bears are in control. How do we know? We've officially started a new downtrend. We're also below that 40-week moving average, which has been a pretty strong support over this period of time, especially when you look at the weekly time frame right here and here. At this moment in time, we've seen 1 week where we were supported. On that second week, we have not been supported. And if this week ends in about 5 days and we can't get back above that 40-week moving average and arguably at least back into $107,000 to $108,000, then this bull market cycle truly is over. But you'll notice right down here, we see growth in volume going all the way back from June. You can see the expansion of volume where we are seeing far greater and larger red volume bars. So the volume is growing to the downside into a new downtrend. I believe this is going to carry over into the rest of the market. So I wouldn't actually be buying a bunch of dips right now. If anything, I'd be selling the rips. I believe with all of the current buying that's happened right here at about $89,000 and the fact that that's actually a pretty key support going all the way back to November into February of 2025, I expect us to get some sort of a relief rally or a retrace back up to at least 100,000. And on the high end, if there's a lot of leverage and a lot of short liquidations, it could push the price even further than expected back up to 106 and just above that SMA before breaking back down for a new low. In other words, it might possibly take out this local high right here at $107,400. Which would be one nasty play. And that would be the perfect place to short into a new downtrend. And by the way, if you're not able to short on a current exchange that you use or you're not comfortable doing it there, then go ahead and check out Blowfin. You can find the link in the description below. This is our Altcoin Pro link, which helps us to support value-based videos like this because we might get a small commission depending on what you trade or how you trade. But at the end of the day, you can also get up to $5,000 in terms of deposit bonus. And when you head on over to Blowfin, not only do they offer futures and spot trading and a bunch of different cryptos and markets that you probably can't access on other exchanges, but they even offer copy trading where you can click through the leaderboard and essentially copy any of these traders in an automated manner dependent on their ROI and their trades, and you can see who's following them, how people are following them, how well they're doing over time. It's such a cool platform and it is safe to trade on. So be sure to check out Blowfin through that link in the description below, especially if you're looking to short or take on a bit of leverage in this current market environment. Now that said, let's cover the last couple of cryptos here. We've got Ethereum looking pretty bearish in the current range it's trading in. When we broke out above this range resistance here at about $3,800, we were then supported there for a while before breaking down for new lows. So officially, if Bitcoin is now in a bear market, which I do believe we are, then this would be the actual all-time high, $4,900. Very weak considering I was expecting a new high because of that weekly major cup and handle. But instead, all we saw was a breakdown for a series of lower highs. You can see that this high is lower than the prior high, this low is lower than this low, and we're just consistently getting new lows with new lower highs. So this is a downtrend. When you zoom out to the weekly time frame, we should have been supported bare bones minimum at $3,750 up to $3,900, and now we are back below the range, going all the way back to 2021. So although I don't believe this crypto is going to break down probably below, I don't know, 1,600 in a new bear market cycle. And this could arguably be one of the coolest cryptos to break out for a new bull market in the future. At the end of the day, I do believe it's over in the local trading zone that we're in, and we would have to get back above 37 in order for this thing to look good. Now, even with the positive news on something like Solana, you can see we've had a massive expansion in volume through this range, but since this point in time, Solana has also failed to hold or stay above that $180 to $200 range. And I would argue this should have acted as our major support, which did occur for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. But on that 5th week, we broke down for new lows. And again, all of these cryptos are highly correlated. So if Bitcoin is breaking down, it's likely your favorite altcoin is breaking down and breaking down harder because it's less liquid. It's a smaller market. And all you have to do to know that is just go to CoinMarketCap. Come over here and look at the market cap. Bitcoin's market cap is $1.8 trillion. The next closest thing is Ethereum, not even sitting at 400 billion. Then you have XRP at 133. You have Solana at only 88 billion. In other words, XRP has another 50 billion on its market cap, which is absolutely insane. And so these cryptos can dump really hard, even with multi-billion-dollar market caps in an environment where Bitcoin's dumping 10%. Believe me, your favorite crypto can dump easily 20+%. And I'm not saying that's going to occur. It's just a likely scenario considering liquidity. Now, when you look at XRP, it does have really good market makers. It's held up better than a lot of other cryptos. But at the end of the day, from a weekly perspective and a time frame, we should have held up right here between 278 down to 250 at least, considering that would have been a strong range support all the way through this breakout for a new high right here at 360. But instead we saw massive liquidations right here. We saw liquidity issues, less liquidity than many people would have expected, a breakdown that was more than 50% in a single day, down to about 140 on this exchange, 150 on many exchanges, and now we're putting in new lows back down to some key supports right here at 224. I'd be watching the $1.90 to $2 range very closely, and if we break below there, we have a lot of room to dump to the downside. Bare bones minimum at least 125, if not even under $1. I don't think that's going to happen overnight, but I do believe it's very much a possibility if Bitcoin breaks down to like 80, 70, 60K in a new bear market environment. All of these can be great short opportunities that you can take advantage of, especially if you join altcoinpro.com, where I teach you everything you need to know to look at a chart and be an expert. And finally, looking at Doge, you can see that we put in a local high back in December of 2024. It's right behind me. But since that point in time, we broke down 3 separate times in March, April, and yet again in June, back down to that 14-cent range. We did experience a major sell-off and a long wick back down to 8 cents on the October liquidation event. But since this point in time, we were putting in a series of higher highs and higher lows, where the lows were finally taken out right back here on the 10th. And since that point in time, we've been chilling between the 18 to 16 cent range. But if you look back at this zone right here, it does seem to act as a resistance, which should likely become a support. So right now, I think Dogecoin has less room to sell off than some of the other cryptos that I've covered. And if it did, let's just say in the case or a scenario where Bitcoin breaks down for further lows in a bear market, we have a boatload of support from the 10-cent range all the way down to the 6-cent range. And so you really think about the risk in buying into those ranges. The problem is Doge hasn't really done much this entire bull market cycle, where XRP put in new all-time highs, Solana put in new all-time highs, heck, even Ethereum put in a new all-time high following Bitcoin. Dogecoin has failed to put in a new all-time high in November and is now putting it in a new lower high. So it's very much possible that in a bear market scenario, this thing breaks back down to 7 cents and even lower. But in my opinion, this being such a large market cap crypto and the first meme coin ever created, it's not really going to go anywhere. And this is where I'd be accumulating on Dogecoin. The moral of the story being watch Bitcoin. If you watch Bitcoin closely and we do get a break below 91,000, which will likely come after we rally or get a bit of a retrace back up to that 100K level, then Bitcoin's next major range of support is going to be between 88,000 down to 77,000. And in the case of a major or a mass liquidation event, a black swan event, I do believe Bitcoin could even dump as low as 64 to 70K. So watch those ranges closely, which means that there's likely a lot of money to be made shorting the market in the coming weeks and months. And if you're wanting to take advantage of that, but you don't have a boatload of capital to toss into the crypto market right now, maybe it's stuck, maybe you don't want to over invest, or you're just worried about taking on risk. Well, what if you could take advantage of someone else's money to trade with? Go ahead and check this out.
What if you could trade with $100,000 without ever risking any of your own capital? Well, I'm doing it right now, trading a 100K funded account with 0 of my own money on the line. I just paid a one-time evaluation fee to take a trading test. That's it. Because everyone's been asking us, how do I get crypto loans? Or how do you leverage trade without risking any of your own capital? Well, that's exactly why we're leveraging Breakout, which is a crypto prop trading firm recently acquired by Kraken with over 10 million clients, 2.5 million funded accounts, and over $1.5 billion in revenue in 2024 alone. They will fund you up to $200,000 after passing one simple trading test. And you get to keep up to 90% of the profit, and you can withdraw in USDC 24/7 after passing the trading test through the link in the description of this video. Now, here's the problem that I've seen most people face. Let's say you're trading with $10,000 of your own money. That's your rent, that's your groceries, that's an emergency fund. And one bad trade or black swan event and poof, your account is completely blown. Rent's late, savings is wiped, and your family is stressed out. So you're not trading to win. Trading your own money is trading for survival, whereas trading with 100K of risk-free capital is freedom. In fact, if you only have $10,000, you should never be trading with all of that. Instead, if you took just 10%, which is $1,000, and you buy the 100K or the 200K breakout test, and you pass the test, well, you're going to be trading with 6 figures without depositing or risking any of your own money. This is what I'm doing right now. And if you fail the test, you only lose $1,000 instead of your $10,000, because you shouldn't even be trading with $10,000 of your own money in the first place if you can't pass a simple $1,000 trading test. And the best part is there's no limit on retries. So that $1,000 can give you 10 shots at a 100K account if you fail the first few. That's 10x better risk management. And that's how you prove you actually know what you're doing. And this is the smartest strategy that the best traders in the world use. That's OPM, other people's money. You pass the test, you trade Kraken's money, and you get to keep up to 90% of the profits. And you can withdraw USDC on demand 24/7. So I paid, I passed, and now I'm trading 100K, and it only cost me $1,000 rather than risking $100,000 of my own money. And now it's your turn. So do not buy the small test. You're here to scale your portfolio fast. So here's exactly what you need to do right now. I left a link in the description of this video, and when you click it and select the classic one-step 100K or 200K account test, you simply click start trading, and then you enter in the affiliate code 777 on your checkout to get the maximum discount on your 100K or 200K funded account. And make sure to check the add-on box for the 90% profit split. It's only $100 extra. It pays for itself in your first payout. And if you skip it, you're leaving 10% on the table forever. So it's well worth it. Then you simply pay for the test, you pass it, you have an unlimited time frame, and you get to keep up to 90% of the profits. And again, you can withdraw in USDC anytime that you want after you pass the test. That's it. Now, we do earn a small commission when you use our code 777, but it supports value-based videos like this, and it'll help you get the maximum discount on your 100K or 200K funded account test. So click the link in the description right now, take the test, and let's get you funded.
So click the link below to get started trading your 100K account today. And as always, thanks so much for watching this video, my friend. If you enjoyed it, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.